just before I turn the mic over, we came to appeal. We want to appeal to you. We need low-cost sensors to begin, because we see from all of these presentations points to one thing. I think low-cost sensors offers the best opportunity now, especially in this part of our global village. So we need more, if we could even leave from here with just one low-cost sensor that will register as a success, but we spoken to some of the colleagues. We need low-cost sensors. And when do we need it? We need it like yesterday. Yesterday is gone, so please help us with it today. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'm Selina Amwa from the Ghana Environmental Protection Agency. I think we have heard a lot about what is happening in Ghana already, with various presenters giving us statistics on the effect of air pollution on human health and all that. And I don't intend to repeat all those ones. And just this morning, Mr. Apple also took us through the legal and regulatory framework that we have to manage air pollution in Ghana. But what I want to say is that the act that established the Environmental Protection Agency gave EPA certain functions to perform. And some of the functions that relate to air quality includes the fact that the EPA is supposed to monitor and develop database on air quality and other environmental parameters to ensure that policy interventions are put in place to address the air pollution that we have in our country. The Act also asks that we develop standards and guidelines to regulate air pollution and other environmental pollutants in the country. It also asks that we issue permits to facilities that impact negatively on the environment. And this is something that is being done. And through the environmental assessment regulations that Apple discussed this morning, industries are required to put measures in place to ensure that emissions that are coming from their undertakings meet the standard that has been set for the country. So this is something that is going on, and EPA is monitoring that. But when it comes to monitoring the ambient environment, the monitoring activities of EPA started somewhere 1997, 98, thereabouts, when the US EPA and the US state government supported the agency to undertake air quality monitoring. And the monitoring parameters included sulfur dioxide, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, and then the particulates. But from that assessment, it was realized that the results were showing that the gases, the level of the gases were very low, but the issue was with the particulates. So attention was focused more on the particulates. And through support from stakeholders, EPA established a number of monitoring stations or locations on the roadside, commercial areas, residential areas, and then also industrial sites. And we have been monitoring the particulate matter from these locations over a period now. And as Apple mentioned, the standard that was developed, we use the data that we have gathered over the period, in addition to what individuals and other researchers are doing to develop the standard that we currently have. And monitoring equipment that we use, we started with the gravimetric samplers, the mini-vol sampler and then high volume samplers. And over the period, through the support of various stakeholders, specifically the World Bank, we also acquired, through a project, had the opportunity to be blessed with 2 reference monitors that we all know about. One located at the physics department, where we all went to when we went for the practicals. And then the other one is located at Adabraka. And from 2018, we also had the opportunity to have some low-cost sensors that we deployed. And currently, we have some low-cost sensors in Accra, Tema. We have about 6 in Kumasi, Tamale, Sekondi, Takoradi, Ho. And through the support of Columbia University and our good friend here, we also getting some more local sensors to install in these places. So the monitoring activities are going on, and then we are gathering data. But like it's been discussed, we all know that the pollution levels are going up. And what are we doing to address this? So what EPA, with support from the US EPA, did was to develop what you call the Air Quality Management Plan in 2018. And the plan sought to identify what the issues are that are affecting the air quality in the GAMA, that is Greater Accra Metropolitan Area, and then what interventions we can put in place to address these issues. We all know that air quality issues is not focused on one sector. It cuts across a number of sectors. And if we really want to make impact, then it is important that people from sectors are brought together so that together we look at what can be done to address the issue. So that is what the Air Quality Management Plan sought to do, identify the issues, and then who will be involved in addressing the issue. So the first Air Quality Management Plan, like I said, was published in 2018, and it was implemented to an extent, and the implementation was disrupted by the COVID pandemic. And currently we are revising the plan, it's almost done, and we're going to implement it to see how best the air pollution levels in Accra will be reduced. From our monitoring activities, the sources of air pollution were identified as from industrial undertakings, from vehicular emissions, and also from the built environment, like the things we've been discussing, the open burning, from cooking sources and all that. So the plan seeks to put in certain interventions that we hope to reduce the emission levels in Accra. The first plan concentrated on the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area. And then this one that we are revising, we have extended the scope to the whole of Greater Accra region. And we intend to work with all relevant stakeholders that are needed, looking at the actions that we have put in place to address the issues. So when we did the zero draft, it was shared with all these stakeholders, and then we have a meeting so that all these stakeholders can also make input into the draft. And we got a lot of inputs that we are using to finalize the document. When it comes to industrial undertakings, like I said, the environmental assessment regulation requires that the EPA permits these undertakings. And as part of the process of regulating these undertakings, they are required to monitor the stack emissions and then also the ambient air quality at their fence line, which they do. But the current system that we have is a passive sort of type of monitoring. So by the time we get the results, then the incident that caused the pollution might have already passed. So like the executive director said in his statement, what we're looking at, there is an agreement with a private person to introduce the real-time air quality monitoring, so that sensors will be installed in these industrial undertakings. So we see the results of the pollution levels as and when the activities are going on, so that when the levels go up, they can take immediate steps to address the issue, other than waiting for it to happen and then they report later, which the pollution might have already occurred and wouldn't have anything to do with what happened to it. What are some of the challenges in terms of our monitoring? The We have, like I said, few monitors, the mini-vol, the gravimetric samplers, and also the two reference grid monitors. And issue of acquisition of spare parts is an issue. When a part breaks down and we have to replace, because we don't have it locally and we have to get it from outside, it becomes a bit of a challenge. Even getting it is a challenge. So that is one of the key challenges that is confronting us. And also the consumables. If you take the gravimetric samplers, for instance, we need filters and those consumables. They are not in Ghana here. So getting them is also a bit of a challenge. So these are some of the things that are affecting our monitoring activities. And when it comes to the low-cost sensors, the installation, because people are not really aware of what it is, and sometimes people become so inquisitive when they see the thing, they want to see what it is. So sometimes you deploy and then you get people going to take off some of the equipment. So we have issues on vandalism and then theft, which is, and so for us to install, we need to get the long pole and then put the system in a basket to ensure that it is secured so that you wouldn't get people wouldn't have easy access to the equipment. So these are some of the challenges that we are facing, but we are hoping that as the discussion goes on, and as we heard, there are a number of individuals and groups that are also monitoring within the country. As we team up, we believe that some of these challenges will be dealt with, and then we'll be able to control the pollution within the country. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much to the panelists for the insightful reports and the outcomes that you have noticed. I think my question will go to the professor in epidemiology. Based on your last submission, you made it clear or vivid that there are no threshold or standard for a polluted air. So my question is that we are in the scientific research domain. We have students, and we are students as well in this modern system. When we are in the lab and you are working, you need a threshold to give you indication that you are getting to the exact value, which we don't even call it the true value, in quoted. So my question is, if you say there's no threshold, it may be difficult for research to be taken because everyone can publish a result and say his air, the polluted air is this value, and that standard is what? Widely accepted. Likewise, even on the basis of physics, when you do this, you have to do experiments in the lab. They will tell us that acceleration to gravity of the Earth is 9.8 meters per second square. But when you go to the lab and you do it, you don't even get the same value. It doesn't mean that the value is wrong. It's globally accepted average value because you may not have the same value. So, madam, my main question is that we have read articles that have been published globally, and they've stated standard of air polluted threshold values. If you think that one is not accepted, what are your choice, or what do you suggest for us to say this air is polluted?
Okay, so we are not talking of, I don't know if you can go to that paper. I'll give it to you later. There is a pool data. I'm talking about health impact, no threshold of air pollution that is good for health. Do you understand now? You cannot say 5 milligrams per meter cube is good. You will not have negative health impact. It is not true. From all the paper that was published that I showed there, they actually pull a lot of studies together.